Big salute, big salute, big salute, big salute. We back, we back. Them updated questions round two. People who don't make an effort to be righteous and who live a life of willful sin will have a huge problem in the mental realms when they try to get rid of the desires that led them to sin. We all have these desires. In ancient Egypt, they were represented by the god Set. He is the god of desires, and his adversary is Horus or Harut, who represents our will to do good. We are in a constant, never ending battle between these two forces in us. Set always leads us to follow our desires, no matter what they are. And Horus always tries to direct us away from sinful desires and to good ones. This battle between the two gods rages inside every human being in this age. When a person takes the side of Set and rejects the advice of Horus, then they end up identifying with those desires that lead them astray. When the time comes to remove them through the fires of purification, it feels to them as though a part of them is being torn away by force. It's as if someone were to try and rip your heart right out of your chest. The pain would be unbearable, hence the suffering. When a person has tried here on earth to balance the forces of Set and Horus and partake only in those desires that led to overall good and shun those that lead to sin, then those evil desires that exist in him are like a foreign substance to him. He welcomes their removal just like a person who has a cancer welcomes its removal by a competent doctor who can do it with little or no pain. That's how it will be for them in the hellish realms. It all starts here on earth. As to what attitude each person has towards sin is whether they identify with it or not. Mm. Yeah, do you want to keep being the devil or do you want to do good? It's your choice. Yeah, got the answer for that in the end. You got the answer for it. Now, as I said before, on earth, one can pretend to be what he is not. But in the mental realms, it's not possible to pretend. Each one's suffering will be in direct proportion to how much he or she loves the sinful desires. With black people, the lesson is learned very quickly, within 3 days, because these desires are not a fundamental part of our nature. With the light races, it's infinitely more difficult because they are taught from childhood to follow their nature, which is by and large evil. Mm. The story of Exodus, as reported in the Bible, is a confusion of two stories. One of them is a prophecy about the present Israelites in the West. That's us. And the other is a misunderstanding of a historical event that happened long before the Old Testament was transcribed. I'll start with the second one. This is the story of Moses leading the light race people out of Europe into the promised land of North Africa and the Middle East. They had been promised by Yahweh at the time of their making on the island of Pelon, aka Patmos, that they would be led to the promised land where it was their destiny to rule the world. They first went into the promised lands 6,000 years ago. As soon as they got there, they totally rejected Yahweh's teaching and resorted to their true nature. They quickly became very disruptive to the original inhabitants and caused so much mischief that the king of that time expelled them from his cities. That's when they were incarcerated beyond the Caucasus Mountains for 2,000 years. After that amount of time had passed, their savior Moses was born, and he went to bring them back to civilization so they could fulfill their destiny. It took him 40 years to march them from the mountains across the desert and into the Middle East. During that exodus, he taught them the mores of civilization and the laws of Yahweh that they had rejected long ago. It was during that time, it was also during that time that whenever they picked up their belongings to continue the march after camping for several months, they were indeed led by the angels of Yahweh in a spacecraft. A wheel. Not the new wheel, but an older wheel. Because you know, it's a new wheel up in the sky. Elon Musk trying to figure out, boy, how this thing moving. Yeah, it's a new wheel. This ain't a wheel of old time. This the wheel of today. Yeah. We're going to get into that more, too. I don't know if you have ever seen a UFO, but at night, the energy field that surrounds them gives off a light that looks like a flame, or what modern people would liken to neon lights. The ancient people likened it to the colors of a flame because as the energy increased or decreased, the colors changed, just like a flame, going through the entire spectrum of reds, yellows, and blues. So the people then called it a pillar of fire. During the day, the colors are not so easy to see. All that can be seen is the sun's reflection off its surface, which causes it to look like a cloud. Hence, even up to the time of Jesus, they were called the clouds of heaven. As Jesus said in Matthew 24:30, where he was talking about Yahweh, the Son of Man, coming in the clouds of heaven in great power and glory at the end of the age. Oh, he's here, baby. He's here. But his name is not Yahweh, though. Yahweh is the God of the last 6,000 years. We have a new God for this 6,000 years. And we've spoken about him. Yeah, we've spoken about him. That's the first story of the Exodus of Moses and the Caucasians. The second story was an ancient prophecy about the present Israelites. They will be led by their modern Moses from the desert of self-forgetfulness into the promised land of the knowledge of their ancestors. This exodus will also take 40 years to complete, starting around the year 2010. In that year, the knowledge of Yahweh or Allah will become very widespread among the true Israelites in the West. Big salute to the Nation of Islam, Minister Farrakhan. Big salute for fulfilling the prophecy, baby. I'm with it. I'm with it. That will also be a time when large numbers of them will begin returning to the land of their ancestors, Israel. And you know, Africa is a part of Israel, so you can't really say Israel where the, the Zionist people that we talking about from the Middle East all the way to South Africa, the whole thing. Yeah. That journey will also take 40 years. Hold on, I read that. No, I didn't. That journey will also take 40 years to complete, as it will include the complete rehabilitation of that desert area into a fertile greenery. That's what we're doing in Burkina Faso. We're going to start with the greenery in Burkina Faso, baby, all the way up through the Sahel. We're going to turn the whole Sahel region green. Yeah.